Nice to have you here. Hey, Kat.
Catherine, it's been too long. Just a couple of weeks, but it feels like too long.
I know, it's nice to see you. And Susie, where are you? We're located.
I'm in Bellevue in Washington. It's a kind of a suburb of Seattle.
Oh, I was just up there like last week, like not Bellevue, but what's it called? Puyallup.
Oh, Puyallup. Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of fun Native American names that you get to learn how to pronounce.
Yes, there are indeed. Oh, Phyllis, you look nice today, dear.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Busy making contacts for Friday's 12 noon event.
Wonderful.
So I thought I better look like I'm not in my pajamas.
Nice. Well, you don't look like you're in your pajamas. I know, isn't it? It's a big effort to get dressed when we're just home. You can't tell, but I got a new sweater, but it's buried under my shawl, but it is a nice new sweater. You got to get new sweaters once in a while. It's like, I can wear something besides my sweatpants, I think. No, I go to my office once a week and then I get dressed properly.
It's a good ritual to have at least once a week. I'm still working on it, actually.
It's true. Yeah, it is. It's like, wow, on these meetings, I do get dressed from the top up. Hi, Laura. Welcome. Welcome, Katie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we're looking pretty sharp here today, ladies. Look at that. Katie, I like your garment.
Thank you. Thank you. I had an early morning meeting at 7 a.m. So
yeah, exactly. We
actually had to get dressed today.
That's what we were just talking about, getting dressed. And I like your puffy jacket, Laura. It looks very slightly stylish.
Thanks.
Hey, you can't have too many puffy jackets. That's what I say.
No, I have a coat. I only live with one girl and our coat closet is 100% full. And it's like, we did not need that many coats, but yeah, you can't have too many. You got to wear them every day. So
you're in Chicago, girl.
Yeah.
It's cold there.
I think it's cold where Laura is.
Leg warmers.
It gets pretty cold.
Yeah, where are you again, Laura? You're in the Northeast. Where again?
I'm on Cape Cod.
On the Cape, right.
It has mild winters, but yesterday and today are like the first kind of cold days. Mm-hmm. And I just actually went on a really long run. And so I'm like I'm like hot still, but I'm about to get really cold.
Well, if you need, go change so you don't get, go take your sweaty clothes off.
If I go upstairs, I'll wake up Alden. So
okay.
I am going to eat my lunch though during this meeting.
Do what you need to do. Okay. Yeah, I just want to say, please, that's good modeling. Really, during these meetings, come as you are, come sweaty, come dressed up, whatever you feel like. Come in a ball gown, and do what you need to do, like eat, get up, go take a pee, make yourself a cup of tea if you need that. Really, this is a space. This is your space. With our space, your space to also really take care of yourself. And we're modeling that for each other. So good modeling, eating your lunch, Laura. So, well, it's 10:04. Thank you all for being on time. I think actually I'm going to read to you today a little bit before we meditate. So just for you, Susie, I'm going to read a very brief passage from my book, which is called Being Together, and Practical Wisdom for Loving Yourself and Your Partner. And my workbook is going to come out soon, which is exciting. It's been
a workbook?
A workbook.
Oh,
a workbook.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited. I hope it'll be by the end of the year. The publishing company was like, I was the guinea pig for doing a workbook with them. So it took a while, but it's coming along. We're working on the cover. So I'm going to read to you a little bit and then we'll meditate and then we'll have a conversation and everybody can share their experiences and we'll do a little journaling. after the meditation. So if you have a journal or a piece of paper, that would be good. And yeah, really the purpose of these meetings is to connect, to yourself and connect to each other and make these connections. Because as Phyllis has said over and over, Angel Aid is this space that provides an opportunity for rare mothers to connect with each other and source one another's wisdom. And in this circle, we have a lot of wisdom collectively. So please feel invited to bring your voice in. Yeah, so you can make yourself comfortable. I'm not going to read too much. It's just from chapter 2. Yeah, we're going to focus on the notion of being a couple, or in Stan Tatkin's concept of the couple bubble, which means that we're really together. We consider each other. We have each other's backs. And I opened my book today and let's see. Yeah, I'll read you a little bit so you can close your eyes. And this is from my Aunt Jean. I interviewed my Aunt Jean, who is now 96, and her husband, Uncle Bill, my Uncle Bill, who was such a wonderful man. They're both incredibly wonderful, great uncle, passed away now, I think about 7 years. Time goes fast, maybe 8. They had a great life. So this is Jean speaking. She spoke in a quiet and wistful tone, and I felt the tender echoes of their love coursing through her voice. Jean said, "We survived, and just being together was sufficient in knowing that we were going to get through everything together, which we always did." There was a lot of kindness on Bill's side. I always felt that he was looking after me in every possible way. He was so full of goodness. Bill was an exceptional human, and I felt so fortunate that he chose to be with me. The couple bubble. Jean's notion of getting through it together is a powerful one. It expresses a simple idea. Together, we will thrive. You will thrive if you both tend to your couple bubble. It will hold you in its strength. But remember, a bubble can also be delicate and could burst if left unattended. Dan Tatkin defines the couple bubble as an agreement to put the relationship before anything and everything else. It means putting your partner's well-being, self-esteem, and distress relief first. And it means your partner does the same for you. You both agree to do it for each other. Therefore, you say to each other, "We come first." In this way, you cement your relationship. It's like making a pact or taking a vow, or like reinforcing a vow you already took with one another. So let's take that into our meditation. This notion of putting one another first, really caring for one another so deeply, caring for one another's needs, and tending to each other in distress. So close your eyes. We'll meditate for about 7 minutes. And just let your body get comfortable. Feel yourself sitting or laying down. And take some nice breaths. When you turn your attention toward yourself, this is an act of kindness and generosity. So this is your time. Letting go of everything that came before. Let the shoulders relax. And drop into yourself. Let yourself settle in. It's from this place of internal settledness. This place where you are offering kindness and love and care to yourself, that you can begin to offer it to your partner, husband. Because as a rare mother, it's important to feel that you are held in your relationship. That you are consistently held as you hold your rare child or children. Resting into this sense of support. And what would it be like if you could lean back into your partner and feel that you were held? Can you lean in? What would it be like to feel that your husband or partner really has your back and you have theirs? And together you are in this sacred bubble, connected. You have each other, and together you're holding your family, and you are supported. Just sense what that might feel like in your body. Can you allow yourself to envision this embrace, this space of resting? Resting in yourself and resting together. And you might notice if you have any resistance, any objections, any doubt. What if in this moment you give yourself permission to lean in to this relationship? What would that be like? And then maybe put your hands on your heart or give yourself a hug. Just resting into this embrace with yourself and your relationship. Just receiving yourself and your relationship. And take your time, thank yourself. For taking a little while to be here in meditation together. Because what we focus on in meditation is, in a sense, planting seeds, very deep seeds, deep inside ourselves, for what it is that we are truly wanting, that we are intending. So as you're ready, you can let your eyes gently come open. Just feel what's here. Feel what's here. And I'd like us to just take about 5 minutes to reflect, to journal about what came up in that meditation. Two parts or two possibilities. What came up for you in the meditation? And what are the qualities of your particular we, if we're calling this couple bubble the we? What are the qualities of your we? What are you bringing to create that sacred couple bubble? And if you're not sure, that's okay. What might you bring if you're not already bringing it? What might you decide to bring? Take that 5 minutes and then we'll come back. Take another minute or so to finish up what you're writing. And then if you're done, just feeling how it feels to even take time to reflect in this way and notice how it leaves you inside yourself. I'm always curious about how it touches you. How does it touch you? Does it stir you? What feelings or emotions are evoked? So let's come back together. So what here? What did that touch in you? Were you surprised by what came up? Are you someone who's easily, and tending to your couple bubble? Or was this like, oh yeah, I think I want to do that more? Or how would I go about doing that more? Or how would we go about doing that more? What came up? You can read from your journal. You don't need to. Please.
Share. My husband is a very high achiever. He works really hard, kind of borders on the realm of workaholic. And he's actually been back to travel for work. So he's in London right now and was in Ireland last week, and which is kind of like our old norm before COVID and before my son existed, because those happened at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of like playing into this a bit, and we actually are doing perhaps better when he's kind of off achieving outside of the house and I'm running the house because we're both kind of alpha dogs.
Uh-huh.
So when we're in the house together, he can often have really high expectations for the household as well. And and when he can be really kind of critical and harsh, despite not it, and it feels like there's like no love in his words, is what I feel. And I can like kind of shut down very quickly and disconnect. So what I wrote is, I want to bring, and this is a Brene Brown quote, but saying, I want to bring my strong back, soft front, and wild heart. Because I think that, and appreciate and respect his expectations, but also have enough self-compassion, being the strong back part, to, forgive myself when I fall short of his expectations, or, when he is harsh because he's stressed about, a big deal he's working on, and it just kind of overflows into me being the scapegoat, the local scapegoat. So, so that I can forgive myself and continue to plug into this steady flow of love between us. you and me were on the same team, the we team, and together we can find grace to continue to grow into our lives side by side. So yeah, it was nice. I also, in reflecting, I often use the word like my kids instead of our kids, and my family being my side of the family, his side of the family. And he's so much more like always like we, and like it's much more like he's happy to be saying that he loves me in the same context of being in a fight. And I'm like, I have to embrace some of those things more readily. Because I kind of like regress to my bubble when our bubble feels wobbly. So that's what came up for me.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I like the self-forgiveness piece. That's really important. Self-forgiveness, self-forgiveness, and then also kind of the we team. I like that. The we team. We are on the same team. So what are we leading on our team? Are we leading criticality or are we leading appreciation? Right? Because in any moment we can make a choice. What are we leading? Are we leading harshness or are we leading gentleness? Right? Because gentleness is also strong. So it just feels like that dance, as you speak about it, you're kind of just finding that sweet spot. Like, where are you in there? And also just how do we transition from the work, the like super achiever man, to I'm here in my house, and softening into that.
It's been a challenge for him. So I'm happy to find a little more compassion for that.
Yeah. So what would that be like, to find compassion or to lead him in that softening, or in just like, okay, you're not the big super deal maker right now. You're a father or a husband, a person.
I think it's probably just giving him a little space, like letting him say the things he says and not getting so hung up on them and like nitpicky and bringing up, like I feel like I can kind of bring up the things that he said the day before and like really want an apology. And I think instead I can just be like, you know what, that was in the context of him being, just being more forgiving, I guess.
Yeah. Being more forgiving and having your own back. Because if you can really forgive and let that go, that's awesome. But if you don't, it can start to become a stack of resentments that are not completely digested. It's that the undigested feelings become the resentments that then create a pile of stuff that's between you and me. So it's this very delicate place to navigate, which I get that you're learning how to navigate it. So it's big. There's a ton in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So does any of this resonate? Does anyone else have reflections? Please feel free to offer reflections to each other also, if you have.
Yeah, hi Laura. I liked listening to what you were saying, and for me it made me think of one of the things you were saying about hearing things and maybe feeling hurt by it and retreating, and it just made me think of there. I think Padma was saying there's this like thin line kind of that anyone is trying to tread in that situation between sort of intent and impact. And so there's the impact, like if someone says something to me, I feel its impact, right? But then the question is, what was their intent, or what were they feeling? Were they kind of acting out of anxiety, or were they like really thinking this was really important and trying to change, reality versus expectations, or, like what was their intent really? Just blowing us, what was it? So, because I know it's so interesting because that strong back, soft front, you know, it's like how I love that quote too. I've been listening. I like announced about 6 months ago that I'd never listened to podcasts. And then someone was like, oh, listen to this one by Brene Brown. And now I'm like listening to her podcast. I'm like, I just hadn't, I guess I just hadn't found the ones I wanted. But so I really like Brene Brown and that quote of bringing a strong back and a soft front and a wild heart. It's so interesting. And it's interesting how just one shift can change an interaction. And so I know I'm covering a lot of ground here, but I like reading these Georgette Heyer novels. They're like light, like sort of Jane Austen light. And I love it when there's some like overbearing character, and then there's some other character who just treats it with laughter and just sort of spins it around and doesn't have the impact that it would have had on me, you know. And so I study these and I'm like, how can I be more like that? And I haven't figured it out yet, but that kind of is that's kind of like that feels like the wild heart to me, you know, like just being so bubbly and solid and loving. And it's like, I'm just going to love you no matter what. And you're hilarious. Ha 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 ha. You know, it's like, I don't think I'm just imagining all these things. And this is all what came up for me when you were talking. Anyway, I'm not trying to give any advice or anything. I'm just saying it really was rich with thought for me on what you were talking about.
Thank you. Yeah, there's this piece about, because laughter is such a great key to tending to a couple bubble, the relationship. If you can laugh, if you can make light in those moments of just when we start to contract around something or get prickly or, we shut down, either we shut down, we get prickly, or we attack, right? These are or we freeze, right? Fight, flight, freeze. So if you can make light of it in the moment, this is what the Gottmans say with the, laughter. And that's one of the keys or the signs of a relationship that's going to last is you can actually turn it around mid argument, mid bristle, that you can sort of lighten it up. And also, Laura, your husband, that he can say he loves you in the midst of a fight. That is good news, that it's still holding the ground of love. And I love you. I'm not happy with where you're behaving right now, and I love you, because that creates this sense of, because inside of the couple bubble, I'll just say a little bit, is this sense of safety. It's a bubble. It's like we are here together, and we've got each other. And we're going to be all right, because I got you, you got me, and we're here. And how do we reinforce that over and over? With kindness, with tending, with forgiveness, with working things out swiftly if we have, disagreements, altercations, really tending swiftly to the repair, the side of repair. And what are the things that actually break the couple bubble? What could you do that will just stop it? Any ideas? What have you done? Come on, we've all done them.
I mean, just hurt, just saying something hurtful, just lashing out. And then did that come out of my mouth? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's the hurtful stuff. It's the lashing out. Threats are totally off the table. Threats are just like really damaging to that safe space. And you can come back from threats, but not if you do it repeatedly. Anything, even eye rolls, those are off. That kind of deep sigh, again, really, and things like, are you sure you really want to keep doing this? Those are painful, and they're coming from, as you said, Catherine, they're coming from hurt. So doing the opposite things, the building things, the tending things, the I'm gonna cook you food because I see that you haven't gotten up from your desk for 4 hours. And I'm gonna bring you some tea. And actually, I'm gonna come up behind you and rub your shoulders. And this goes both ways. I'm not talking about the woman doing this for the man. I'm saying that we do this for each other, where I see, or yeah, my partner, I got some bike shoes, and my partner, I was like, how do these work? He's like a major mountain biker. And he's like, just do this, So that felt like, oh, you're taking care of me, helping me deal with the bike shoes. So what else? What else came up for you around this, the we and the couple bubble, and how you show up, how your husband partner shows up?
I think that brings up, I think a question always comes up for me with my husband is like, how can I care for him? Because so much of he is very just self-sufficient, and it's trying to make sure, like, understanding that his needs are different than mine, but then also trying to meet them and not trying to say you need more because I need more or those kinds of things. And so trying to find that balance of believing him, but then also helping draw out opportunities for him to be cared for, instead of just identifying with the caring for me role. Because it's working, but just making sure that like reciprocal thing happens a little more. And I think that's maybe I just downplay sometimes how much, the caring is in the listening or just being present or whatever, those kinds of things that sometimes I don't give due credit or maybe, that he rates differently. Yeah. He might rate those differently than how I would rate them for whatever. So, but yeah, I definitely wrote down, we are on the same team always. And I think it's that, like, almost in the bubble, like recognizing that critique is like critique from the inside is different than critique from the outside, because it's one of those things where it's like, if we're critiquing something like and wanting to change something, it's because I care and I want to rebuild it. Like, I'm here to make the fix as well. And versus an outside thing where it's like, you're just trying to break us down and you're not going to be here to clean up this mess or whatever, but like trying to like frame that to like, this is our project. And sometimes you have to take something off to put it back on, or, like, but I think it's almost even like loving America, where it's like you critique America because you love it, right? Like versus, saying that you can't critique something because, but it's like, if you're in it, like trying to think like we're on the same team, we're trying to improve it because we care, because we love, because, those kinds of things. So anyways, that's
awesome. Yeah, that's it. We're on the same team. We're coming from care. And then this piece around how can I care for my husband, the way it will register as care, because we all register care in different ways. And definitely not to underestimate listening or being present. For me, those are super foundational. And that whatever we do that first, coming from presence, coming from connection, and then slowing down. And also this dance of teaching the other person how to care for you in a loving way. Yeah, these are all, I'm just sort of, we're just sort of naming these things, and these are life projects, right? These are things we're working on throughout our entire lives, starting young, starting wherever we're starting. So those are important pieces. Thank you, Susie. Phyllis.
Hi, everybody. I want to go next because listening to all of you and what you read this morning, Padma, what page does that start on?
What page does that start on? That's a really good question. Starts on page, oh man, my eyes just keep getting worse. Page 38.
Okay. Listening to all of you and realizing the things that I didn't do way back then when the children were sick. and that we ended up getting divorced when we probably were meant to be together our whole lives. And if I had known these things back then, like I did this stuff at home and took care of the children, and he was the youngest superintendent when he was 24 years old for Chappelle Industries, SNS Construction, which built those beautiful homes in Los Angeles. He was their youngest superintendent. So he was like some of your husbands, where he was a powerhouse, and he went there and struggled to do what he could do so he could support a family of 5, 6, 7. There were 7, not just the children. Anyway, I did not make a connection with him and let him know how I was feeling. He comforts me now. He understands now, because he's not working, he's retired, and he gets to see all of the Angel Aid stuff. Not all of it, but enough of it that he understands. Plus, I talk about it now and how I'm feeling. And when I need comfort, I go to him, and vice versa. Like his beard's gotten this long again, and his hair, and he can drive and get it cut, but he wants me to go with him to tell them how I want it. I mean, it's a two-way street, and he's watching out for me now, which I'm sure he would have done then if I had opened up. Catherine is a book writer, and she has parenting classes that she runs. And I noticed today, Catherine, you said things, but you didn't mention your husband or your relationship with him. What is his name?
Phyllis, I'm really private about my husband. That's why I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay then. Yeah. Okay. I haven't even talked about what I wrote. and this will be quick. I'm really focused on the Wellfest this Friday at noon. And on the other page. And what I wanted to mention to you is that I was very shy back then. Well, obviously, I didn't even talk to my husband, but I was very shy back in high school. I only had 5 roommates my brief time in college, so I could get a hold of them and tell them about Friday at noon. But I came from a graduating class of 1,000 at Western High School. And Richard was the football captain, and I was the drill team leader. So our names are known to those 1,000. I was so shy then, I didn't make a lot of friends. I don't know how I ended up being the drill team leader. But anyway, we have reunion books now where each of the people that came to the reunion wrote a page about what had happened to them in the last 4 or 5 decades. Plus, it had their email address. And it was hard for me, but I'm working on it, and I did it. And now I've got the help of the alumni committee to get the message out to all those people to try to join us on Friday at noon. Yesterday, I went to my first time I went to the orthopedic surgeon about my knee. And he gave me a cortisone shot. He said it's not bad enough to have surgery yet. And before he gave me the shot, I said, when you're finished, I'd like to talk to you for a minute. And so I counted to 46,000. Those shots are painful, but my sister had warned me. So I counted to 46,000 and it was over. And he said to me, what would you like to talk about? And I told him, this Friday at noon, there is a 1-hour presentation about angel aid, which is, and so then I told him, and I had this little card that says TED Talks with Crystal's picture on it. So I handed that to him and he said, can I keep this? Oh, by the way, I said,
No, it's breaking up, but it'll come back.
that. But by asking only for $100, I wasn't putting pressure on him. And so he took all that stuff and we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to share all of this because this is what this week is all about for me, is getting hold of anybody that I can. By the way, my best friend, Frances Lee McCain, was the mother in Gremlins and in Back to the Future.
Wow.
Yeah, she went to drama college in London, but back there in high school, we were in the same drama club and we debated each other and stuff like that. So I'm going to figure out a way to get a hold of her.
Good idea.
Which I have been in touch with her, but not in the last 5 years.
Well, thank you for all your good work, Phyllis, and all the energy you're putting into Wellfest and Angel Aid and how you show up here. And yeah.
You're my girlfriends and I wanted to share it with you because I want to encourage you. Yeah. I won't be a sales pitcher every time we meet.
It's all right to do it today, though. Yeah, so go, participate as much as you can on Friday and get the word out. And yeah, and then speak up. I mean, Phyllis, also you spoke about, making the connection. That's really what it is, that we're staying in this connection with our partner, not every single minute. And staying in connection also means, like Laura said at the beginning, like giving them space. Some people need a lot of space. And when you give them that space, my partner is like this. He needs a lot of space. The good news is we both do. So, you give each other a lot of space. And then when we come together, there's room for that. It's nourishing. We just came back from this trip where we're living in a motorhome for 10 days. So we're giving each other some space right now. But yeah, that's the learning how to love, bringing your curiosity and learning, how do I love this person? And making it a priority, and vice versa, that we're curious, how do I really love this person that I'm with? And how do I let them love me? And how do I gently lead what makes me feel loved? Because your partner or your husband isn't just going to know. They're not psychic. Maybe they are psychic, but they're not that psychic. They're not going to know what's really going on with you unless you tell them in the right moment, in the right way. And I know you know this, and I'm just repeating it because we forget and we sort of assume that they might know. But men are, since we're all heterosexual here, men are very different creatures than women. So we have to build those bridges to understanding through curiosity.
I showed him what I was doing in those reunion books. And I asked him if he would like to do the same thing. And I was surprised that he did. He went through and leafed the ones that he wanted to get in contact with. So not all husbands are like that. And he probably wasn't like that 2 decades ago. But it doesn't hurt to bring it out and give them a chance.
Allowing people to change is also a part of keeping that bubble strong. Is that it's a moving target too, right? Mm-hmm. I think was hearing that, Phyllis, too, where it's like you were cultivating your soft front, right? You were able to share some of those soft things when you were in the thick of it, but now you're able to share that soft front. And I was thinking about that with myself, where it's like, I am better at my soft front, but it's also me working on my strong back to be something that someone who can so support. So love that.
Yeah, great. Allow the other person to change. They are a moving target. We are. Where, I mean, relationship and is, I'll say it again, it's the possibility is that it's an evolutionary container where we can all grow. Katie, what about you?
I have loved listening to all of this, and I feel like it's brought up a lot of different things for me. I think when I was first writing and thinking on this, I think I love the image of a bubble. And I think that for me, it kind of brought up almost like a Venn diagram. There's a me bubble and a him bubble and then an us bubble. And I think we bring pieces of ourselves to that, but the we bubble is something, an entity all to itself that needs to be kind of tended apart from me acknowledging and tending to his individual needs or my individual needs or him understanding me. There's an actual separate entity. And I think that for me, something that I thought about was kind of how when our we bubble or our team is really strong, like I feel very strong and I feel like I'm capable of managing challenging things and I feel more confident. And I think I present to the world differently when our we bubble is strong. And I feel like when it feels fragile or a little wobbly, I feel kind of destabilized and kind of less able to cope with challenges. And I think for me, it brought up a lot of thinking around how kind of one of the biggest threats to our we bubble has been our son's diagnosis. And just the, sort of, I think that not that life felt easy before, but I think looking back, like we sort of faced a lot of typical growing family challenges, having a child and two working parents, having a second child, and how does that fit in with our life? But I think our son's diagnosis kind of really changed that. And I think I've struggled at times to keep kind of the we bubble and our relationship as a priority. Sometimes it felt like I need to put my son first, or in order to do absolutely everything we can to help him, or with the hope of kind of saving or prolonging his quality of life, that he has to come first. And I think that's been a really big threat to our we bubble. And I feel like we're sort of, even just very recently, sort of coming back to what do we need to do to keep our kind of team a priority? Because actually when our we bubble is strong, we are better parents. And, I am more capable of, coping with those challenges, and he is too. And anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but I think that was really kind of those images and kind of that feeling. And I think one of the things that we've done in just the last few weeks, actually, to sort of prioritize us was to listen to your book, Padma. And my son has like a 45-minute stretching routine that we do in the evenings, trying to keep his range of motion and flexibility. And we let our children, the only way to get him to relax enough to be stretched is to watch an iPad, which is not my favorite thing, but we don't need to listen. I think for the longest time, like we either did individual things. I would do the dinner dishes and make lunch for the kids for the next day, and he would maybe listen to a book or something. And it suddenly dawned on us that we could be listening to the same book or, doing something together. And I think that even just taking that like 40 minutes of like listening to the same thing, and then maybe if we do have time to come together later to reflect on it together. But it's just, it's felt like something that we're doing where we're both focused on the relationship rather than our individual things or our son's kind of needs coming ahead of ours. So I I think that that's been helpful. And last night we were listening to the chapter having to do with thirds, and the
yes,
piece.
yes,
and I think that that's what sort of stuck in my head, or that's why I started thinking this morning about kind of that, my son's diagnosis and our children being kind of a third that is a threat to our relationship. But when we're in a healthy place, we can kind of manage that.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're listening. That's it. It's like investing, either listen to my book, listen to a relationship, do something where you're both tending to the relationship consciously, that we set aside some time. It might be, date night. It might be just 40 minutes of, okay, let's just listen to this. So we're both getting fed with some kind of positive guidance for how we can really take care of each other, because you said it so well, Katie. You feel stronger when your we bubble is stronger. And there's research, which is put in the book, that people in couples actually thrive more. We just do. I mean, we're animals, we're mammals, we're not meant to be alone. And you can have a totally fulfilling life being alone. However, no one here has chosen that at this point. So being in the container that is so supportive. And just to also, so the third is anything that takes away. And this can be so, and I can imagine how it would well come up, this whole line of thinking that you shared, Katie, is, I have to put my child first, because if I don't, that's, their health, they're not going to get everything they need. They're not going to have the best quality of life. And the truth is that to step back and to tend to the two of you, because it's like, there's power in the union, in the unity. And then you've got each other. So you're actually more stable. You have a stronger back. You can have a stronger back and a softer front when you're together. Because otherwise it takes a lot of energy to just hold yourself up on your own. It takes way more energy. So we can lean into each other. And I love this, the kind of, prayer hands, namaste, because then we're just meeting and we can lean here. It's not like I'm leaning on you or you're leaning on me, but we're here and we're grounded in ourselves and together. So I'm going to leave you with that, being grounded in yourselves. So maybe the practice for this week is to really notice, how am I grounded in myself? So that's the first, because there's you and there's me and there's the we. Where's the overlap? So let's tend. I tend to myself, you tend to yourself, and then we come together and we tend to this middle ground of we. So just notice, how are you doing that? And you could even set an intention in the morning. You could write it down. You're going to do at least one thing for yourself: meditation, movement, exercise, etc. And then what is one thing you're going to do, or one way that you're going to be, that's going to really contribute to the container, to the sacred container of the two of you. So that's the practice for the week. Paige, you look like you want to say something.
Nope, just hopping
No?
on. Nope, I'm good.
So yeah, well fast Friday, noon, West and Pacific time. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing and for being on this journey and for staying present in yourselves and with each other here. I really encourage you to reach out over Mighty Networks to one another, and feel free to reach out to me. I appreciate Laura reached out to me with a question this week, and I'm happy to respond. So please reach out all around. And Phyllis, are we going to give ourselves a hug? Give each other a big hug. Give yourself a hug. And one day we can meet and we'll be all healthy and we can hug each other in form. It's already happening. So I'll see you next week, or you, Catherine, in 2 weeks. So please join us. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
you.